All right, we're back with another one. Today we're going to be talking about the DeepSeek Harness. Now you may have already seen some other videos about this thing, but today we're going to cover some stuff that I can almost guarantee you haven't seen yet. And you're also probably wondering, how does DeepSeek Harness actually stack up against Codex or Claude Code? Well, as of right now, I don't even think that's a fair comparison. These are fundamentally different products. For starters, DeepSeek Harness isn't a traditional desktop application that you just download, install, and start using. You have to launch it through the terminal, and once it's running, the actual interface is accessed through your browser. So technically, you're running the harness locally on your computer, but you're interacting with it through a locally hosted web UI. And honestly, that's one of the first things I didn't really like about it, so I decided to do something about that. Later in this video, I'm going to show you a forked version of DeepSeek Harness that I built into an actual native macOS application. No terminal command every time you want to launch it, no manually opening localhost in your browser. You click the application and you're in. I've also made some other changes to it that I'll show you later in the video. But before we get into my version, you need to understand what DeepSeek Harness actually is, because once you understand what they're trying to build here, this project starts making a lot more sense. One of the first things you'll notice when you visit the website is that they highlight this idea that everything is a plugin. And that can be a little confusing because most people may not really know what they mean by a plugin. The easiest way I can explain it is, if you're familiar with something like WordPress, it's essentially the same concept. You have a core program, but that program can be extended and customized through a plugin ecosystem. And DeepSeek takes that idea pretty far. Models can be plugins, tools can be plugins, skills, sessions, sandboxes, storage, scheduling, even parts of the UI itself can be handled through plugins. So instead of forcing everybody into one specific workflow, the idea is that you can customize the harness around your workflow. And that's probably the biggest difference between something like this and something like Claude Code or Codex. Claude Code and Codex give you a much more predefined experience. DeepSeek Harness is almost saying, here's the underlying system, change it, and that extends to the actual interface itself. You can customize parts of the UI, add different elements, build plugins, add something like a timer, or potentially build other functionality directly into the harness. So there's a level of personalization here that you don't necessarily get from every other coding agent, and we're going to come back to that because that's actually part of how I built my own version later in this video. Another thing that makes this interesting is traceability. DeepSeek records essentially everything that happens throughout a session. That includes prompts, reasoning, tool calls, tool results, context injection, subagents, and other information going through the workspace. Then you can actually inspect that information through something called the trajectory view, and that's pretty cool because not every harness gives you that same level of visibility into what's actually happening behind the scenes. Now, is everybody going to use that? Probably not. If you're just telling the model to build you a website, you're probably not going to sit there analyzing every single tool call. But if you're developing something, debugging an agent, trying to figure out why the model did something stupid, or you just want more transparency into what's actually going on, this can be genuinely useful. Now, here's the thing that I don't think enough people are emphasizing. If you look at all the hype around DeepSeek Harness online, there's something extremely important you need to understand. This is still in developer preview, and what does that mean? Basically, this thing is still being actively developed. DeepSeek is not positioning this as some completely finished production grade product where everything is guaranteed to remain stable. In fact, if you go directly to their GitHub repository, they put this in all caps. There will be compatibility breaking changes. That's pretty important, because if you build your entire workflow around this today, you need to understand that an update could potentially change an API, change how a plugin works, change part of your configuration, or require you to modify something that previously worked perfectly fine. And because it's a developer preview, you should also go into this expecting bugs. You should expect rough edges, you should expect certain things to change, and you should expect that occasionally something might just break. That doesn't mean the harness is bad, it just means you need to understand what you're actually using. This is something you can experiment with. You can build on it, you can customize it, and you can get a really good idea of where DeepSeek is going with this, but I wouldn't treat it the same way that I would treat a mature production product just yet. Which brings us back to the question from the beginning. How does this compare to Claude Code or Codex? And again, I don't really think that's the right way to look at this. If you're asking me today, should I replace Claude Code or Codex with DeepSeek Harness? For most people, probably not. Claude Code and Codex are polished products built around their respective ecosystems. You install them, sign in, and start working. DeepSeek Harness is more of an open, composable framework. Its biggest selling point isn't necessarily we're better than Claude Code. Its selling point is What if you could take the harness itself and customize it around the way you want to work? That's where this starts becoming really interesting. If you want something that's polished, ready to go, and gives you a predefined workflow, something like Claude Code or Codex is probably going to make more sense right now. But if you're the type of person who wants to mess with the underlying system, swap things around, build plugins, modify the interface, change how the agent behaves, and potentially create your own workflow, that's where DeepSeek Harness starts separating itself. Alright, so now let me show you how to actually get this thing running because it's surprisingly simple. Go over to the DeepSeek Harness website and you'll see the quick start command right there. You're basically going to have two options. You can clone the entire repository from GitHub and run it from source. That's going to give you the actual project files locally, and that's obviously the better route if you're planning on digging into the code or developing around the harness. And that's essentially the route I took when I started building my own version. But if you just want to try the official harness, there's a much easier way. DeepSeek gives you this command, npx at DeepSeek-AI/DSH. Web, make sure you have Node.js installed. Open your terminal, paste that command in, and run it. The first time you run it, npm may ask you whether you want to download the package. Just confirm that and it'll start pulling everything it needs. It may take a little bit the first time. It might even look like it's hanging for a second. Just give it a moment and eventually the harness should launch. Once it's finished, DeepSeek Harness launches a local web interface, by default running at 127.0.0.1. port 3080, and it should open directly in your browser. Again, I want to make something clear here because when you first see this, it can look like you're accessing some website on the internet. The harness itself is running locally on your computer. Your browser is basically just acting as the interface. And this is one of the reasons I told you at the beginning that comparing this directly to something like Claude Code or Codex is a little difficult. It's just a completely different approach. Alright, so once you've run that terminal command, you're going to end up here at 127.0.0.1, port 3080. This is the local address and port where you're accessing the harness. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I actually developed my own forked version of this. I renamed mine DSH Pro, gave it separate branding and a different icon, and then packaged it into an actual native macOS application. I'm going to show you that version in a little bit. But first, let's look at the official interface because there are actually some pretty interesting things happening here. One of the first things you're going to notice is that there are multiple modes you can select before you start working inside your workspace. You've got standard mode, which is basically your general purpose mode. This gives the agent the full coding toolset, file editing, shell access, file search, web search skills, planning, subagents, workflows, all of that stuff. For most people, this is probably where you're going to spend most of your time. Then you've got PTC mode. PTC stands for programmatic tool calling, and this one's actually pretty interesting. Normally with an agent, the model might make one tool call, wait for the result, analyze that result, make another tool call, wait again, and continue going back and forth. Basically, model tool result with PTC. The model can basically write a small program that coordinates multiple tool calls together. So instead of individually calling each tool and constantly passing all of that information back and forth, it can orchestrate multiple operations programmatically. If you're doing something that requires a bunch of tools or a lot of different steps, that can potentially make the process much more efficient. Then you've got minimal mode. And minimal is basically exactly what it sounds like. Instead of giving the agent this massive collection of tools, DeepSeek strips the environment down significantly. You essentially have persistent bash and a file editor. This can be useful for things like benchmarking models or situations where you specifically want a very minimal environment. And because you're exposing fewer tools and less tooling information to the model, you're also reducing some of the context and overhead involved. And then you've got creator mode. Now this one is probably the most interesting to me personally. Creator mode is essentially where you start getting into modifying the harness itself. You get your standard capabilities, but now you're also getting runtime inspection, plugin experimentation, and tools for creating your own presets. So this is where you can start experimenting with plugins, changing functionality, adding UI elements, creating presets, and basically turning DeepSeek Harness into something that fits your specific workflow. And again, remember what I said at the beginning. That's really the point of this project, the customization. Now, if we go over here into settings, this is where you start seeing just how customizable this thing actually is. Under general, you've got things like your default preset. So if you're constantly using standard mode, for example, you can just set that as your default instead of selecting it every single time. You've also got your permission settings. This is basically controlling what the agent is allowed to do and when it needs to ask you for approval, whether it's reading files, making changes, running certain operations, things like that. Then you've got your language settings. Right now you've got Chinese and English. You got your appearance settings, light mode, dark mode, or system mode. And then under models, this is where things start getting important because this is where you're going to configure the models that you actually want to use. For DeepSeek itself, you're going to enter your DeepSeek API key here. And this is something I want to clarify because it's different from something like Claude Code, where a lot of people are used to simply signing into an account and using their subscription. With DeepSeek itself, you're configuring an API key. You're not simply signing into your normal DeepSeek account and using your consumer subscription. Now, the harness can support other providers as well, and authentication can vary depending on which provider you're actually using. So this isn't necessarily locked to only using DeepSeek models. And that's another important distinction. Then we've got plugins. And honestly, most people probably don't need to touch a lot of this when they're first getting started. I would leave most of this stuff at its defaults until you actually have a reason to change something, but this is where you really start seeing the modular nature of DeepSeek Harness. You can see which plugins are installed, you can enable or disable plugins, you can change configurations, you can add functionality, and essentially tailor the harness around your specific workflow. Remember, models can be plugins, tools can be plugins, storage can be plugins, sessions can be plugins, scheduling can be plugins, even parts of the UI can be plugins. That's really the core philosophy behind this entire project. Web search works the same way. You've got different functionality that can be swapped in and out rather than everything necessarily being hard-coded into one massive application. And then you've got your presets. You can create custom presets through creator mode. You can duplicate existing presets, modify them, and basically build an agent configuration that's specifically designed around the way you work. There's honestly a lot you can do here. But now let's actually use the thing. The basic workflow is going to feel very familiar if you've used something like Claude Code or Codex. You select your workspace, which is basically the project folder you want the agent working inside. You select your mode, you select your model, and then you start chatting with it. So we'll just give it something really simple. Let's say, hey, create me a website for a coffee company. We'll send that off. And now it's going to start working through the request using whatever tools it needs based on the mode that we've selected. And this goes back to something I talked about earlier in the video, traceability. You can go into the trajectory view and actually inspect what happened throughout that session. You can look at the reasoning, the tool calls, the tool results, context injections, and basically the event history of what happened while the agent was working. And then you've also got things like forking and archiving session. Forking is actually pretty useful. Think of it almost like creating a branch of your conversation. Maybe you've been working on this coffee website for 20 minutes and you get to a point where you want to try two completely different approaches. Instead of destroying the conversation you've already built, you can fork that session and create another session based on that existing history. So now you've got one version where you can continue in one direction and another version where you can experiment with something completely different. And that's where you start seeing how all these individual features come together. The session history, the trajectory system, plugins, custom presets, different modes, the ability to modify the harness itself. None of those things individually are necessarily revolutionary, but when you combine all of them together, you start to understand what DeepSeek is actually trying to build here. And that's really the bigger picture. DeepSeek Harness isn't necessarily trying to just be another Claude Code clone or another Codex clone. It's trying to give developers the underlying harness and essentially say, here, build the workflow that you actually want, and now that you understand the official DeepSeek Harness, let me show you what happens when you actually take them up on that idea, because like I told you at the beginning of this video, I forked it and I turned it into this DSH Pro. Okay, so the version I made is a one-for-one conversion of DeepSeek Harness, except you can use it as a native macOS application. It supports both Apple Silicon and Intel Macs. Which version you install just depends on your Mac's hardware. Most of the setup is already handled for you. You don't have to paste API keys if you want to use subscriptions you already pay for. You can sign in through the supported OAuth connections. It's the same underlying engine, except you never have to touch the terminal. You can do everything from inside the app, and it's designed to be much more user-friendly. I also added a browser directly inside the application, so if you're building a website or another local app, you can preview it without leaving DSH Pro. There's also a built-in file editor. You can open a file, make changes, save it, and stay inside the same application the entire time. Every run is still traceable, everything stays on your machine, the files are yours, and the app tracks your usage locally on your Mac. I also built a couple of themes for it, including a holographic theme, so you can change the way the application looks. Then there's a custom feature I added called Dispatch Mode. Dispatch Mode lets you use DeepSeek Harness as an orchestrator for other command line agents on your computer. You can prompt it to dispatch work to something like Claude Code or Codex. Let those agents help with the task and coordinate everything from inside DSH Pro. Again, it's the same DeepSeek Harness engine underneath. The difference is that you can manage the whole workflow without opening a terminal yourself. Now, let's go ahead and get into the application itself. All you have to do is download the correct version for your Mac and install it like you would any other application. Once you open it, the layout is almost exactly the same as the official DeepSeek Harness interface. Go into Settings, open Accounts, and sign in through an available OAuth connection. You'll still need an active subscription for whichever supported provider you want to use, but you can connect the subscription you already pay for. One cool option is OpenRouter. OpenRouter doesn't give you a dedicated coding CLI on its own, so people normally access those models through a third-party tool such as Hermes Agent or OpenCode. Here, you can sign into OpenRouter directly and use those models inside DSH Pro. You can even test the application that way without connecting one of the other providers first. And if you still prefer API keys, that option is available through model selection too. There's a usage tab where you can see how much usage you're consuming. There's also a WORKSPACES tab where you can pin the projects you use most often. That's a feature the official DeepSeek Harness doesn't currently have. You can switch between the themes I added, including the holographic theme, and there's a reset button that lets you reset the application if you ever want to start fresh. The original plugin system is still there too. I didn't remove or change the default plugin settings, so you still have access to the same underlying customization. And of course, there are a few shoutouts in the About tab, including a link to subscribe to our YouTube channel. From there, everything works the way you'd expect. You can chat with the agent normally, you can open the trajectory view and inspect everything that happened during a run. If you're building a website or another application, you can preview it from inside the built-in browser. You can open the files, edit them directly inside the app, save your changes, and keep working without constantly switching between a browser, an editor, and the terminal. That's really the whole idea. Take the flexibility of DeepSeek Harness and make it easier to use as an actual desktop application. Like I said, whether DeepSeek Harness makes sense for you is going to depend on your use case. Right now, I think the official project is aimed more at developers, but I wanted to make it easier for more people to try the harness, test it out, and understand what it can do without having to run terminal commands every time they use it. Not everybody is a developer, and the terminal isn't for everybody. DSH Pro gives you another way to use the same underlying harness through a native Mac application. Well, that's it for today's video. Hopefully that answered all your questions. Go ahead and hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.